Hi, everyone. Judge Andrew Napolitano here for Judging Freedom. Today is Wednesday, June 18th, 2025. Phil Giraldi will be here with us in a minute. Are you ready for this? Should the United States fear an attack from Israel? He'll explain right after this. While the markets are giving us whiplash, have you seen the price of gold? It's soaring. In the past 12 months, gold has risen to more than $3,000 an ounce. I'm so glad I bought my gold. It's not too late for you to buy yours. The same experts that predicted gold at $3,200 an ounce now predict gold at $4,500 or more in the next year. What's driving the price higher? Paper currencies. All around the world, they are falling in value. Big money is in panic as falling currencies shrink the value of their paper wealth. That's why big banks and billionaires are buying gold in record amounts. As long as paper money keeps falling, they'll keep buying, and gold will keep rising. So do what I did. Call my friends at Lear Capital. You'll have a great conversation, and they'll send you very helpful information. Learn how you can store gold in your IRA tax and penalty free or have it sent directly to your doorstep. There's zero pressure to buy and you have a 100% risk-free purchase guarantee. It's time to see if gold is right for you. Call 800-511-4620, 800-511-4620, or go to LearJudgeNap.com and tell them your friend the judge sent you. Phil Giraldi, welcome here. Welcome back from your travels. We missed you last week and glad you are with us. There's really not very much to talk about.
Are you kidding?
Is the United States in danger of an Israeli attack masked as an attack from the Iranians?
Well, no, I think basically Iran has never posed a threat to the United States. This has been a fake argument that's been trotted out by the Israel lobby and by the Israelis themselves in the form of that creature, Benjamin, what's his name, Netanyahu. This is the kind of thing to fool the Americans into doing stupid things. And so I don't think there's a threat coming from Iran. I think, of course, that the real threat to our liberties and to our former government comes from Israel.
Well, I know, I agree, but I'm talking about the Israelis making it look like it was Iran that attacked us, so they have their false flag. You know,
Yeah,
they
you're
once
exactly.
attacked us and killed Americans, and they weren't pretending it was somebody else. They acknowledged it was them. This time they may make it look like it was the Iranians so as to bolster Netanyahu's argument that somehow Iran poses a threat to the United States.
Yeah, that's of course the other story, the other narrative. We look back at the USS Liberty back in June 1967, in which 34 American sailors were killed and over 170 were wounded, and every attempt was made to sink the ship and kill everyone on board, including Israeli aircraft, which had their Star of David insignia covered up, and gunboats machining life rafts and that sort of thing. They did everything to kill everyone and sink everyone. And this might have been with, I hate to say it, with maybe a little bit of cooperation from the U.S. government in the form of Lyndon B. Johnson. But anyway, that's another story. That's was a definite false flag. It was intended to get the U.S., just like today with Iran, to get the U.S. involved in going in a war against Israel's perceived Arab enemies. And in this case, it would have been set up to make it look like it was the Egyptians who had done it. And the expectation was that if the ship sank and the narrative went out saying that this was done by the Egyptians against an American ship in international waters, that this would be enough for the U.S. to go after Egypt. And also, incidentally, Russia had an air base in Cairo at that time. So maybe the Russians would have been rolled into it too.
Do you think Trump is serious about leveling a city with 18 million inhabitants?
Well, of course he's serious, but this man is an idiot and doesn't know what is entailed by that kind of destruction. He's also just said about an hour ago that he doesn't know whether he's going to do it or not do it, and this is in terms of war with Iran, and of course that would be on the side of Israel. I mean, the fact is that if a president is so ignorant that he doesn't realize that the interests of the country that he leads and represents are what is the critical factor in whether you go to war or not. It's not a question of whether some clown at the top somehow getting elected and deciding that he's the world ruler. This game is getting very old and it's getting very tiring. And I read today that some opinion polls were suggesting that even conservative Republicans who identify with MAGA are beginning to get a little tired of it. This was verified by some people who were doing polls on specific attitudes towards going to war.
So, talking about attitudes on going to war, we'll go back to before you were doing your travels. Isn't it a certainty that CIA, MI6, and probably Mossad aided the Ukrainian drone attack on 4 Russian air bases, on a train line, and a bridge?
Yeah. And in fact, this is something I've been alluding to, having been a former intelligence officer on the ground and somewhat familiar how these things work. I suspect in a lot of cases in Ukraine and Russia, before they run off the rails, were of course like sister countries, and very close language affinity, religion, and a whole lot of other issues. I believe there were a whole lot of stay-behinds who, when after Russia abandoned communism, that were set up by foreign intelligence agencies and also by some of the local intelligence agencies. So I believe you had a lot of these people already sitting in place with this equipment getting smuggled across the border one way or another, and just waiting for the word to go. So I think that's a lot of what happened. And
why would Mossad be helping the Ukrainians against Russia? Isn't the last thing Netanyahu wants is animosity from the Kremlin?
Well, I can put it in one sentence. Jews hate Russians because of the largely false narrative about the pogroms under the czars and other things. If you talk to kind of leftist Jews, intellectuals in the United States who are very involved in foreign policy, you'll see this anti-Russian sentiment surfacing all the time, even though many of these American Jews are ethnically at least part Russian or maybe even complete Russian. But it's that kind of historical searing into the brain about who did what to whom that I think drives a lot of the sentiment against Russia. And also it has that same effect here in the United States, where many so-called intellectuals at our universities and think tanks also come out of this mold.
Isn't it also a certainty that CIA and MI6 worked with Mossad on the Israeli surprise attack last Thursday night?
I think that's an absolute certainty, and I think that a number of people you've had on your program have come to the same conclusion. It would not have happened for any number of reasons. So I mean, we're even looking at actually what comes to mind immediately are the technical reasons. The sharing of intelligence on where all these top leaders were would have been something that came from the bigger and more capable intelligence agencies and passed on to Mossad, and again passed on by Mossad to its own agents on the ground in Iran, who have been successful at killing scientists and other figures. So we know they're there. And so, I think that this is a given, that this was done as a joint job. And of course, our esteemed president immediately denied any knowledge before admitting that, he knew about it.
First, he said he didn't know about it. Then he said he did. Before he said he did, I guess he didn't talk to his de facto Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who issued a statement saying we don't know anything about it. I mean, and Rubio hasn't said a peep about anything since issuing that statement on Friday morning. Here it is, Wednesday afternoon of the following week. These guys can't even get their lies straight.
He might be terrified after what happened to Tulsi Gabbard.
He might. I don't know if you saw the clip. Well, you know what? Before I show you the clip of Tulsi Gabbard, I'm going to show you a clip. You know I love you, Phil, but this will make your blood boil. These are the highlights of Netanyahu's appearances before various bodies in the United States. It's a montage that CNN put together. It's 30 years of Netanyahu's gross exaggerations and lies about Iran. Hang on to your chair, Chris.
The deadline for attaining this goal is getting extremely close. And Iran, by the way, is also outpacing Iraq in the development of ballistic missile systems that they hope will reach the eastern seaboard of the United States within 15 years. By next spring, at most, by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment and move on to the final stage. From there, it's only a few months, possibly a few weeks, before they get enough enriched uranium for the first bomb. The foremost sponsor of global terrorism could be weeks away from having enough enriched uranium for an entire arsenal of nuclear weapons. That would place a militant Islamic terror regime weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less than a year.
Now, most of those statements he knew were lies because of this. Chris, run Tulsi Gabbard, not the one with Trump on the plane, but just her testimony, which you've enhanced.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear weapons program.
Since 2003, the intelligence community, American, British, and Israeli, knew that there was no development of a nuclear weapon. That's 22 years ago, and still he attempted to perpetrate those lies, which were believed by his audiences, which had their campaigns financed by AIPAC. Do I have that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. It's convenient for him because he can just keep repeating the same line over and over again. And I don't imagine that there's too much critical review of what he says on many media outlets in the United States. I mean, this guy has always been taken as full of rectitude, for lack of a better word. And this guy, in fact, is a con job who basically is would be very happy to see the United States kind of, just get bled white by him and his colleagues until we have no more to give them. Then if we just blew away in the wind, he would care less.
Wow. Is Trump in his pocket or is he in Trump's pocket?
I think they're both in each other's pockets, but the fact is that it seems to me that Netanyahu has the Netanyahu, let's face it, is a lot smarter than Trump. And I think he has successfully manipulated him. And he's also obviously worked through some of the people working for Trump who view the world in the same way that Netanyahu and his colleagues see it. So it's that kind of game going on. I think that I keep hoping that I think the one thing that would tip Trump the other way is that if Netanyahu were to do something personally very, very insulting to Trump, that would be, but of course, I don't think Netanyahu is dumb enough to do that, because Trump and his ego are the only vulnerability to make him shift the policy like this the other way. Otherwise, he doesn't care about Palestinians. He doesn't care about Iranians. He probably doesn't even care about Jews. Who does he care about? He cares about himself.
Well, here's that ego on display. You may have seen this. This is the brief Q&A by a reporter on Air Force One on Sunday night, bearing in mind that Tulsi Gabbard, under the law, is his sole exclusive informer of American intel. Where the hell does he get anything from any other source? Watch this.
You've always said that you don't believe Iran should be able to have a nuclear weapon, but how close do you personally think that they were to getting one? Because Tulsi Gabbard testified at March that the intelligence community said Iran wasn't building a nuclear weapon.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon.
I care what she said. I think they were very close to having.
Stay in that job if he says, I don't care what she said.
Well, so these long conversations on the phone that he has with Bibi obviously has convinced him that the truth is something different. And if he's really convinced of that, he's more stupid than I've given him credit for.
Where do you see this going, Phil?
I see this going to war very soon. I think Trump is weak. I think he's going to be manipulated into this. And I think it's going to be a disaster for everyone involved, including the Israelis, including the United States. This kind of stuff just has a tendency to snowball. And there are a lot of people in the world community now who really despise Israel for what it's doing, and also the United States for its ability to connive at what Israel is doing and to support it. If the United States, if Trump would pick up his goddamn phone one day and call up Bibi and tell him, okay, B, today it's over. No more money, no more weapons, no more political support. You've been carrying out a genocide. You are a disgrace to the human race, and you should spend the rest of your life in jail. And apart from that, I have nothing to tell you.
Wow. Somebody who agrees with you is the Ayatollah, who just released what I understand is a rather incendiary statement that Chris has translated. Here it is.
The Iranian nation will not surrender to anyone in the face of imposition. The Zionist enemy has made a big mistake, committed a big crime, and must be punished, and is being punished. The damage America will suffer if it makes a military intervention in this field will undoubtedly be irreparable.
The damage America will suffer if it makes a military intervention into this field will be irreparable. I think I've quoted that precisely. Do you think that Trump and Rubio and Hegseth and whoever else advises him, I guess Rubio has two jobs there, he still has Mike Waltz's old job, advise him of the likely consequences of the things he says and threatens to do?
Well, I would say the facts tell us that maybe they actually have been a little upfront with it, because they've been shifting around troops and allegedly making these hundreds of bases in the region less insecure from attack. So somebody's waking up to it, but that doesn't mean it's going to be a shift in policy or anything like that. I mean, we see this kind of thing, this policy kind of marching ahead under its own speed, and it's it's going to be very dangerous to apply the brake at this point. But I think
Trump could. I mean, I'm trying to picture him before the joint session of Congress, or even addressing the American people. I don't know how he can make the case for war in light of what Tulsi Gabbard said. I believe Bibi over her. Well, what is Bibi relying on? His intelligence community agrees with ours that they haven't had anything to do with nuclear weapons since 2003.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing we're all forgetting about here is that Israel does not have the capability, obviously, of taking on Iran in any conventional way, but Israel is nuclear armed. And all of this nonsense about we're going to do away with Tehran, the city of 18 million people, I can see a nuke in the imaginings of Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu, and this is real scary. Where this goes is just something totally unpredictable, and but it's something that the Israelis have played with before with their Samson option. The whole idea that if they're losing a fight, you destroy the world.
Might the Pakistanis get involved? And we know what they have on the side of Iran.
Mm-hmm. The Pacs have already said that they are in this race to a certain extent. They haven't necessarily threatened that they'd go nuclear, but they have threatened the fact that they have warned that they would be supporting Iran. So take that where you want it to go.
Well, of what would that support consist? Do they have ballistic missiles? We know they have nuclear.
Oh, they have a very respectable military, and they're very well equipped with missiles, and you know, they are one of the better militaries in Central Asia. If you go back to our experience in Afghanistan, the Pakis were always kind of in there and up on things, and they would make for very, I think, helpful allies for a country like Iran. But Iran also has, of course, those ties, as you noted, with China and Russia.
Before we go, this will make you laugh a little bit. Part of the cabal in the Senate that is trying to tug Trump towards war, Lindsey Graham, Richard Blumenthal, Tom Cotton, and Ted Cruz. Senator Cruz made the mistake of sitting down with Tucker Carlson 2 days ago. Carlson, who of course was once one of Donald Trump's intimates in his inner circle, now is being blasted to the skies by Trump because Tucker, God bless him, is against these wars. Anyway, just watch the first few minutes of this interview. You've never seen Ted Cruz squirm like you're about to see.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah,
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay,
it's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay, I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the
I'm
one
not saying that.
who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that...
We're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
we are supporting
This is high
Israel.
stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay.
Wow.
That is a wow. That's incredible. The guy, first of all, demonstrates that he doesn't know anything about who he's killing, and then he doesn't even have his facts straight. Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. You know, you are aware of the fact that Senator Tim Kaine of New Jersey and our good friend Tom Massey have introduced legislation in both houses of Congress to stop Donald Trump from going unilaterally and going to war with Iran. So this is kind of an interesting development. I doubt if either of them has the votes
I doubt that the neocons that run the House and the Senate and the Republican Party would allow those things even to come to the floor for a vote.
But,
I mean, I read Congressman Massey's legislation. It is brilliant in its simplicity. Under the Constitution, only Congress can declare war, Section 1. Section 2, Congress has not declared war on Iran. Section 3, there shall be no war on Iran without a declaration from the Congress. It's 3 sentences long. It's brilliant. And I'm sure that Mike Johnson, who's in Mike Huckabee's back pocket, will not allow it to come to the floor of the House for a vote. Wow. Thank you, Phil. Thank you for all your intellect and ability to understand these things. Thank you for your great piece at UNS and elsewhere. And welcome back from your vacation. We'll look forward to seeing you next week at your usual time.
look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, my dear friend. Coming up at 4 o'clock this afternoon, we found him from St. Petersburg, Russia, Pepe Escobar, Judge Napolitano for Judging Freedom.